The Last Clue is a production of Smith Media Team, LLC. Listener discretion is advised, mostly because of me. This is episode 20, Shadows of Deception, Poison, Prophecy, and Betrayal.
Episode 20. How exciting.
And let me just say really quick, you guys have responded in a way that we were not prepared for,
At all.
not only with the downloads and the subscriber only content. All we can say is thank you, and we will continue to try to bring you the true crime news that you want to hear. But sincerely, from the bottom of our hearts, thank you so much. This has been incredible.
It really has been, and we hope we're making you guys proud. We really do. I would like to give a shout out to our newest listeners out of Pasadena, Maryland, Vista, California, Jordan Valley, Oregon, and Chesterfield, Derbyshire in the wonderful country.
I love Chesterfield. I love their cats. Is that right? No.
Cheshire, Chestershire. Anyway, Ireland.
Yes. We love our Irish listeners. They're always very engaging. They've emailed and commented on several of our podcasts. So thank you. Now we go to the story of James Craig, the poisonous betrayal. Would you like to start us off with James Craig, or do you want me to jump into this dude?
Whoa, aggressive, sir.
Yeah, can't say that on air.
No, you can just kind of might want to save that for the premium content. But yeah, James was a dentist or I guess he still technically is, dentist in Colorado, married for several years to his lovely wife, Angela. Great marriage until it wasn't.
Seems to be the case. Is a dentist a doctor? We kind of covered that in the Hangover movies, but he's not a doctor. He's a dentist. Okay. Sorry.
Anyway, so personal opinion, if you go to school for an extended period of time and you have that MD behind your name at some point, MD, DO, whatever, doctor of dentistry, you're a doctor. Allegedly.
So we get into the marriage, and his wife, Angela, begins experiencing unexplained vomiting, nausea, and dizziness. And this is in March of 2023.
Yeah, maybe she's just dehydrated, right?
Well, with the weather nowadays and the allergies, I could understand that, but this seemed to be a little bit more.
Yeah, I think she enjoyed her workouts as well. So, relatively healthy woman.
Well, about that.
Mm.
James Craig, the dentist, who may or may not be a doctor, was accused of poisoning her using see, this is throwing me off. I'm still on the doctor dentist thing. Poisoning her using cyanide and tetrahydrozoline, which is eye drop fluid, putting this in her protein shakes.
Leave my protein shakes alone. You know how I feel about protein shakes.
I do not touch your protein
You
shakes.
do not.
I appreciate it when you make them, because I will put them in my coffee from time to time. I
Yes.
really do appreciate the work that you put into protein shakes. I don't touch your protein shakes.
Guys, here's a fun tip, and I'm going to give it to you for free, even if you're not subscribers. Protein shakes. If you drink them, great. I drink them too. I like them. But you can always pour a little bit into your coffee as creamer. So you're not only getting your coffee and your creamer, it's healthy and it fills you up longer. There you go.
So
Unless you're married to James Craig.
don't drink his protein shakes.
Don't.
So after several hospitalizations and a seizure, Angela Craig, 43, died on March 18th. And an autopsy confirmed that cyanide was present. So,
There was arsenic present too in the autopsy.
was this a tragic illness or was it something more sinister? The prosecutors in this case have outlined the motive. Young James was in financial ruin, and I can't wait to hear your thoughts on that. Had gambling debts, was also involved in multiple affairs, and obviously had a strained marriage.
You think?
I'm 98% confident of that.
Yeah. Well, you miss 76% of the shots you don't take.
Michael Scott. So Angela had confided in her sister about Craig's gambling losses and his failed business ventures. The investigators also uncovered incriminating internet searches. Don't do this. What?
Well, here's the thing about his internet searches. He did them at his dentistry office. He used one of the exam rooms where he had set up a different laptop with a different username and everything, and did the searches looking for poisons that did not show up on autopsies.
So again, let me ask you the question. Is a dentist a real doctor? Because that is the sign of a moron.
Yeah, well, so you know what? I'm actually going to recant my earlier statement that if you've got that MD and such behind your name, you're a doctor. I was being kind of, I wasn't being general there. I mean, it's pretty basic. MD, you're a doctor. However, my personal opinion, if you don't do a residency, you're not a doctor. I'm sorry if I offend you. That's my opinion, and we know what opinions are like.
For our dentist listeners, this is all just humor.
Yes.
Please don't come after us.
I do need to make a dentist appointment, so now I'm reconsidering.
So his internet searches included how to make a murder look like a heart attack and is arsenic detectable in an autopsy. Pretty clear to me. The defense, however, is arguing that there is no proof that Craig administered any poison and that Angela may have committed suicide. They claim that the marriage issues did not equate the intent to kill.
So let me ask you this question. Have you ever seen the movie The Purge?
I have.
So in these alleged affairs that some of these women have testified to, one of them stated that he said something to the effect that if the movie The Purge were ever to become a real thing, he would purge his wife.
So let's move on to the deep fake letter before we get into that. That may be premium content. A daughter confronted with a father's betrayal in writing. Craig allegedly wrote a letter to his teenage daughter instructing her to create a deep fake video of Angela requesting poison. He specified buying a prepaid laptop, dark web browser, and setting up a fake confession. And the daughter has testified that she received and read the letter but did not comply. Thank God.
See, I'm dumb. I'm dumb. I don't even know what some of that is. I've heard of the dark web. You want to know what I thought the dark web was? I knew it wasn't, your basic internet searches. It's what I'm gathering. I thought that was kind of viewing it in dark mode because as a migraine sufferer, like, oh, dark web, let me go there. The screen's not as bright. And deep fake, I don't know what that is.
Deepfake is something that Justin Jefferson does.
Oh, like that. Okay.
I'm
Okay.
I'm in on that.
I got that.
So the web of allegations continues. There are additional charges of solicitation to commit murder, perjury, and witness tampering. Craig allegedly offered prison inmates tens of thousands. Where he had that money, I have no idea.
Mm-hmm.
Well, he offered it. It doesn't mean he paid it. Everybody's a buyer until
So
you
you
have
got
to.
to open your wallet.
Exactly. Offered prison inmates tens of thousands to eliminate investigators or fabricate testimony. The defense counters those claims, saying family and inmate witnesses are unreliable and the investigation is tainted by bias.
Or tainted by poison and protein shakes. Now, I have a question for you.
Sure.
This whole suicide theory.
Mm-hmm.
Now, I pray that you never are, but if you're suicidal, are you going to do something that takes you very slowly?
No,
That takes your life, your breath away very slowly. And by very slowly, I mean not instantaneous.
no, no. That is something if you make that selfish choice, and I can say that as a suicide survivor, if you make that selfish choice, you you do something that will take you quickly. You don't do something that will take you slowly.
and,
It's idiotic.
and you don't go to the hospital when you start feeling bad.
Absolutely not.
So there's
So
that.
we have some very critical unanswered questions in this.
Sorry.
One, surprisingly, is did Craig administer poison while Angela was already hospitalized? Is this guy this bold to not only poison her protein shakes at home, but is he poisoning the jello she's getting in the hospital?
That's what it sounds like to me. From what I understand, there was medication that she was to take where he emptied out the medication that was inside of it and filled it with the arsenic and had her brother, I believe, go in the room and give her this medication. So not only is he not in there comforting her and sitting by her side, he's there pushing this along.
Hopefully, the toxicology and residue tests can trace a timeline or at least some kind of delivery method regarding that entire situation. Um, and, of course, you have to ask the question on the other side, just to be fair, would Angela's alleged suicide theory hold under forensic scrutiny? I mean, you have all these forensics that are showing that he was poisoning not only the protein shakes, but potentially and allegedly the food in the hospital. Would this suicide theory hold up? Yeah, I don't think she was in any type of shape to attempt to poison herself in the hospital.
No, and eh, well, I don't know. There's so much to this, but I can't wait to see what further testimony comes out of this, especially with the alleged affairs that he was having. The women are testifying. I can't wait to see what some of the doctors say. Her brother. There's just a lot of parts to this story with him ordering the poisons, saying that she wanted him to do it, but again, if you're suicidal, are you going to do something that's that slow in its process and go to the hospital in the meantime?
We will continue to follow this story of a man that was sworn to heal who now sits in court accused of murder with evidence, letters, secrets, and betrayal. He is in jail. He has pled not guilty. The trial proceeds through early August with expert testimony and character witnesses
Uh,
on the forefront. And all we can wonder is what new revelations lie ahead in this court case.
Yeah, I'm really also interested to see how he's going to fare in prison if he was trying to off people while he was in there, allegedly.
If he can
So
write
there's a lot.
if he can write scripts in prison, he's going to be fine.
Oh, hope he can write a script for the safety of his butthole.
We are going to take a quick break. When we come back, I don't need to say anything else. The Doomsday Mom. And we are back on The Last Clue. Thank you for staying with us. It is now time for the Doomsday Mom, Lori Vallow Daybell, a mother shaped by prophecy, convinced her own children were possessed, and a lethal plan that followed. So, Lori Vallow Daybell joined her husband Chad in these apocalyptic beliefs. She was convinced that her children, Tylee, 16, and JJ, 7, were possessed and destined to die. So, what did she do? She allegedly murdered them, and the bodies were discovered June 2020, buried on Chad's property. So, in May 2023, the Idaho trial starts and convicts Lori for the murder of Tylee, JJ, and a conspiracy to kill Chad's first wife, Tammy, and she got life without parole in that trial. Now, jump
Okay.
ahead to just recently to the Arizona trials. Lori decides, since she's close to God and has all of these apocalyptic beliefs,
Oh, Lord. Sorry, pardon the pun.
Lori, she represents herself in court.
Always a smart move.
I love the idea of it, especially with a fringe alleged lunatic. She's found guilty of conspiring to kill Charles Vallow and the shooting attempt on Brandon Boudreaux, and she is sentenced to 2 additional life terms. Judge Justin Boreski condemns her manipulation, stating she should never be released. And I am on his side. Nobody ever needs to see Lori Vallow Daybell again. As a matter of fact, we don't need to see her on any more documentaries. We don't need to see her on the television. We don't need to see her anywhere.
Well, there's one place I would like to see her, and that is being placed in a wood chipper.
I don't know if that's a valid punishment in Arizona. It could be. I don't
Well,
know.
back in the day of Joe Arpaio, it might have been. I really liked him, but I mean, when you are so sick, twisted, and psychopathic, to not do that once, twice, 3 times, not a lady, there's I can't think of a more deserving punishment, especially when it's your family.
Oh, so this woman
Don't lump me in the same category as
in
her.
in the courtroom, mind you, this is not on a snarky blog. This is not a TikTok video where your face is too close to the camera. This is not a YouTube presentation where you've got the wrong backgrounds and your cat runs behind you or whatever.
I like those.
This is in court. She spoke of angels, visions, and the judgment days. But luckily for us, the court remained unconvinced. So Lori initiates all of her openings. She objected repeatedly and claimed divine mandate.
Uh, it. I'm not a lawyer.
But I play one on TV.
I feel like I could play a better one than she's doing or had done. I don't. Is that a valid legal argument?
Absolutely not.
Okay, just checking.
No, no, there's no way.
I've heard
It's
of divine intervention.
it's as bad as an attorney standing there and not doing anything, which we know about so well. But that no, divine mandate is not a legal argument in any form or fashion.
Might be a decent stripper name.
That's possible. Well,
Oh, that's for the bar, not the pole. My bad.
you'd probably have to change the mandate to something because men, I mean, they would want to tip divine. I don't know that they would want to
Man
tip
date.
man date. I don't know.
Anyway,
So as we said, she represented herself. She used a whole bunch of religious rhetoric, and she even compared herself to biblical figures. This is the woman that needs to go away and not be in anybody's life anymore.
when you said biblical figures, I immediately went to Dana Carvey and the church lady.
Oh,
Hmm,
oh my gosh.
Satan, maybe?
Yeah. I don't even think Dana Carvey wants anything to do with this woman.
This is ridiculous. You've murdered your children. Sorry, I have to say allegedly. You've allegedly murdered your
No,
children.
no. She
Oh,
was
that's
found.
right. She was convicted of those. Murdered your children. First husband, or was he the second? I don't know, but she's had more than one. Murdered a husband. You've conspired to kill your niece's husband, ex-husband. I just, how far down the family tree do you go?
This woman was married twice, and you're still single. That's rough for any of our single listeners out there. This woman found quote unquote love twice. So the judge obviously saw through this, rejected all of her tactics. Um, he cited emotional manipulation and a complete disregard for the victims. So
Absolutely.
it absolutely was. So we look into the motive: a lot of money, a lot of fear, a lot of faith. The prosecutors alleged that she plotted Charles's murder for the $1 million life insurance payout and a desire to marry Chad.
So
If
there we go with the two.
if you have listened to this podcast, this is now our 20th episode. I have told you in detail there are 3 reasons for murder, and I typically go through them in our subscriber only content. So that's it. There are 3 reasons. There's no other. Follow these trails and you will solve most murders.
She hit two of them right there. Money and sex.
She also targeted Boudreaux due to a fear that he'd testify or possibly disrupt their doomsday vision.
Because that's the only vision there is, and that's the only one that's
She's got a doomsday vision now, that's for sure. So
sometimes I'm
Chad's death
keeping
and
my mouth
Tammy's
shut.
loss tied into their apocalyptic ideology and financial gain. So were Lori's religious claims genuine, or were they a mask for financial motive and murder plotting? I don't really think that this is a tough question to answer.
No, she's
Now,
delusional.
let me play devil's advocate here.
Well,
She may actually believe what she's saying. She may have gotten to that point in the lie where she's told the lie so much that now she believes the lie. So she may very well believe that she was sent upon high by the Prince of Darkness
she's a
to,
fucking psychopath.
again, just devil's advocate. She may actually believe the lie she's telling. So she may actually think that the end is nigh. But this was all motivated by money.
I believe the end is near. The end of days are coming. We don't know, we won't know. And I'm not getting religious or anything here, but the point being, I'm not going out and murdering everybody. I'm not killing my family. What if the Let me ask you this then. If the end is coming, what are you going to do with that $1 million
Not
that you're allegedly going to get? You're
not
not going to have time to
anything.
spend it.
It
So,
it is just like the Joker in the Batman movies. You might as well light it on fire, because if the end is truly coming, you can have all the money in the world. Not going to mean anything.
no,
S-
dumbass.
So, is there any possible evidence in this case that could overturn the public perception of her mental state or her motives?
Now, mental health professionals that I have discussed this case with, and of course, um, they're not on the show. This is so it's going to be hearsay. This would not hold up in a court of law. But any case, discussions that I've had with mental health professionals that I know have discounted it. You can argue it to a point, but to the point of an acquittal has not been seen in their opinion.
We've had 3 trials, 5 victims, and yet we're still stuck with the same chilly question. What drove Lori Vallow Daybell, sorry. I was thinking of something
I
else.
know
I was thinking,
NFL season's right around the corner.
well, yeah, that too. What drove her to destroy so many lives? Her convictions are final in Idaho and Arizona. If she files an appeal in either state, this narrative is going to resurface. So, why in the world is the public split on this between a doomsday fanatic or a calculated killer? Because I don't see, again,
I don't.
here's where I'll play devil's advocate. If she's told the lie so much and she believes the lie, then yeah, all your other doomsday fanatics out there are going to jump on board and go, she's right. The end of days are coming. But that's got to be a small population. Why does it seem like it's 50-50?
I don't know. That's a really good question. That's probably going to get me wound up. But so let's ask our listeners. Where do you guys fall on this spectrum? Are are you with my words are not coming.
Here's the simple question for me, for our listeners, and our email info@smithmediateamllc.com, or you can comment wherever you're listening on all of our major podcast hubs. Is she crazy or is she right? When we come back, Barry Morphew and Poisoned by the Truth. From North America to Asia, from Europe to Africa, Australia, and South America, everyone is listening to The Last Clue. And in our subscriber only content, I am going to tell you 2 things. I'm going to tell you exactly why Brian Koberger is just like one of the worst horror movie villains of all time.
Oh my.
And I'm also going to tell you why the Amy Bradley documentaries never needed to happen. There's a very simple answer to what happened to Amy Bradley. And we are back with Poisoned by the Truth and a Mother's Day Vanishing. A morning bike ride, a life cut short, and a husband left searching. This is the story of Barry Morphew. So his wife Suzanne disappeared May 10th in 2020 right near the height of COVID in
Hmm.
Salida, Colorado during a Mother's Day ride. Her remains were found over 3 years later in September of 2023 in a shallow grave, and toxicology reports confirmed BAM, which is a deer tranquilizer. Oh
Uh,
dear.
that that's a new one on me. Deer tranquilizer. So the BAM is an acronym for the three different drugs that are in that specific deer tranquilizer. And even being in the medical profession, I'm probably going to slaughter some of these. Butorphanol, azaprone, and medetomidine.
I
Yeah,
love that
I
one.
don't. Yeah, I don't know. I that one always gets me. I don't know what that is.
I
But
love
then
that.
again, I'm not interested in deer tranquilizer either.
Their
So
second album was my favorite.
yes.
Some deep cuts on there.
Oh,
So,
too soon.
uh, so there were some legal twists, and there's going to be a new trial. Um, Barry Morphew was indicted in 2021. His charges were dismissed in 2022 over prosecutorial misconduct.
Hmm.
So, bad prosecutor. Bad, bad, bad.
Yeah.
The grand jury reindicted Barry on June 20th of this year. He was arrested in Arizona a few days later, and his bond is set at $3 million.
$3 million. Sorry, I'm doing the whole Austin Powers thing.
We knew what you were doing.
Yeah, I figured.
So we're going to discuss the motive, the opportunity, and the evidence here for just
Okay.
a bit. So the prosecutors are asserting that Barry was the only one that had the sole access to BAM, the deer tranquilizer. He was last seen with Suzanne, and phone records show inconsistencies in his story.
Well, I mean, if you're the only one in the area of Colorado where she was found with this in her system, I feel like that's kind of hard to dispute if you're the only one in the area with uh, access to that deer tranquilizer.
I mean, I would
So,
certainly hope so. I don't know how many people have access to deer tranquilizer. I don't.
well, I mean, if you're living in an area like that in Colorado where you're big in hunting, I'm sure you've probably got access to it. But he was literally the only one they can find in this vicinity, in this area of Colorado, that had the prescription for it. And I guess it's by prescription
I,
or
I don't know. I didn't know what BAM was until we started researching this story, so I have no idea.
the only two BAMs I was, well, three, the only three BAMs I've been aware of up until this point: Bam Bam,
Hmm.
Bam Margera,
Hmm.
and Bam Adebayo.
Uh, what about Bam Bam Bigelow?
That one's not hidden. Oh, sorry. Pardon the pun.
Wow. For our listeners, who's your favorite BAM? And please don't say your significant other. So the evidence um, against Barry, God, that took a turn.
Bad.
Um, Includes the fact that he had a tranquilizer needle, the ground was disturbed, and they are linking chemical traces of BAM and probably other substances to him.
The ground isn't the only thing that's disturbed here.
So I know this will shock our listeners, but there were issues in the marriage. Um, Suzanne had discussed divorce. There was some infidelity that was uncovered, which is where you exactly where you want it to come to a head is in court. And God damn, here we go again. And financial problems, financial chaos was how it was described. So,
Money and sex.
God dang, we listen to this podcast. I'm telling you, there are three main things that lead to murder, and I talk about them in our subscriber only content all the damn time. There are three things. If you follow these three things, you're going to solve most of your murders. I know I said that in the first segment. I wish law enforcement would listen to me.
Or hire you.
No, I can't do that.
Ugh.
So here comes Barry's defense strategy. This is a man accused, claims he stands accused in search of answers, not the truth. So Barry pleads his innocence.
Of course.
Shocker. He is accusing law enforcement of tunnel vision, that they only have one suspect in mind, and it's him. They're hell-bent. They have decided to focus all of their energy on Barry Morphew. They're not looking at anybody else.
Do they have evidence of anybody else?
That's Barry's tough part right there. So the defense claims that previous investigation suppressed key evidence and other suspects went unexamined, and they argue that evidence remains circumstantial and not convicting.
So him having access to the deer tranquilizer in her bone marrow that can be traced back to him being the only one that had access to it is circumstantial?
Who else, if anyone, had access to BAM in that area?
We don't expect you to come forward if you're listening and your name is being thrown into the hat.
I hope at least you're sitting in a deer stand listening to this.
No kidding.
And is it possible that Suzanne's remains could have been moved or staged? That's one of the open-ended questions right now that we have in court that is argumentative, that it's possible that her remains were moved. I don't know what the reasoning necessarily behind that would be, but that is one of the overlying factors at this point.
Yeah, I don't know why you'd want to move the remains unless there's some sort of incriminating evidence.
And speaking of evidence, is the prior misconduct that brought about this retrial going to affect the integrity of the retrial? Is that something that the defense is going to continue to harp on, because they, now that this is in the public light, that he has survived the first trial, the defense can continue to harp on the fact that, hey, you prosecutors, you did bad. You did bad, and we are going to just continue to beat it into the judge and jury.
Well, if you've got one new prosecutor, one different prosecutor, I don't know what difference it makes, especially if they're no longer on the case and you're moving forward with evidence that is, I don't want to say concrete, especially in a murder, but you understand what I'm trying to say. When you've got this evidence that points to the suspect, the one and only suspect, you can't really throw out, you can't keep harping on that point. You've got to focus on the facts.
So for our listeners, we pose another question. Is Barry a murderer, or is this simply the wrong suspect in a tragic case? Our email is info@smithmediateamllc.com, or you can comment on any of your favorite streaming platforms with your thoughts. So, we've come to the end of the podcast.
Our 20th episode.
Our 20th episode. All across the world, we have listeners. We have New subscribers, we want to thank you again, but we've had three very unsettling stories here. We've had betrayal by a healer, we've had manipulation through faith, and we've had shattered trust in marriage. One question unifies all of these. What really happened behind these closed doors? What stands out the most to you in episode 20?
Um, in these cases, it's hard to say. It, what stands out to me most is the fact that these should be slam dunk cases, for lack of better words,
Mhm.
but yet everything feels kind of misguided.
Do you think we'll ever hear the truth out of Lori? I don't think we will, but I, I don't know. You're talking about this religious fantasy.
Fanatic.
Yes. I don't know if we'll ever hear the truth
No.
out of her. Will prison bring her an epiphany?
No, because she's going to be one of those that finds religion, possibly true religion, in prison, or she's going to continue on this rabbit hole of a facade.
For our premium content subscribers, first of all, we want to thank you again. In this week's episode, we are going to have one. We had two or three last week, but we're going to have one. And I am going to tell you why I think Brian Koberger is similar to one of the worst horror movie icons of all time. Thoughts?
I I am literally sitting here staring at you, like hanging on every word, because I don't know where this is going.
I will draw it out for our subscriber only podcast and the second of our subscriber only content. I am going to tell you exactly why there should have never been a documentary about Amy Bradley, because I'm going to tell you exactly what happened on that boat.
Again, I'm not sure. Well, maybe I do know where this is going. I don't know. And you might hear us argue for the first time.
Now, I don't need to remind our subscribers, but I want to remind you, for those that aren't subscribers, give it a shot for a month, because last week in our subscriber only content, I told you exactly what the judge in the Brian Koberger case was going to say, and I told you exactly what he was going to do when it came down to sentencing. And I'm telling you, I was 100% right. And I went just a tad further, which is what I felt like the judge should have done. I understand that he has the legal ramifications of running his court and running it the right way. I believe he did the right thing, but I took it a step further and I was 100% right. So if you missed this week's subscriber only content, we can't help you. The Last Clue is a production of Smith Media Team, LLC. If you have any information about any of the cases that we've covered, if you have cases that you would like to see covered, or if you have general comments or questions, please email us at info@smithmediateamllc.com.